We're gonna go ahead and talk about data analysis today. First, I want to talk about some clarification because these two on Thursday, I said, oh, I'm not sure if these can also go in the discussion. From the handout that we have, we can see that the correct answers for these two qualities are both M and R. There's going to be a lot of things that can go in the discussion, though, so if these end up in your discussion, that's not to say you did the discussion wrong, that's just saying this is what I expect, this is something that I expect in the methods, discuss the rationale, reasons why the experiment was conducted this way, and I do expect, like, in the results, you go from more general results to more specific in a clear and logically organized way. So, just wanted to go over that. And then the next thing is I want to think about, okay, so what have we done and what's left to do? Have we read and thought about experiences with news media? I sure hope you have, or else you got some catching up to do. So yeah, we've already done that. How about forming a hypothesis? If you haven't, go ahead and do that right now. Have you done an experiment? You've gone out, you've given a survey, you've collected data, so that's awesome. You've done that. So you've gathered the data, you've done that experiment. Have you analyzed the data?
Not yet.
Not yet. Maybe some people have started, but right now, today's going to be the day we analyze the data, and then, forming a conclusion. So that'll hopefully happen over the next couple days, so that next week we're getting ready to write we're getting ready to present the data, and then in 2 weeks you'll be presenting your some of your findings. So that's what we're going to talk about. So the data analysis that we're doing today is going to be the foundation for the parts that you're writing for the results and the discussion. So you want to think about, okay, well, what's required? What do we need to do today so that we're ready to learn how to write this paper I'm ready to learn the writing methods on Thursday. So we already know some stuff. We already know, a few things. So what have we learned? What can we know from the paper 3 prompt? Does it tell us anything about how we're displaying the results? Let's go to the paper 3 prompt and see there's my all of this stuff. Where is it? Here we go, spring 2019. Okay, where's the prompt? Paper 3. Okay, here we go. Here's the prompt. And sure enough, we're going to find some information in here about the data, where it says it here. You will also be using graphs, charts, or tables to display the results of your original research. Your results sections should contain 2 to 3 graphs, charts, or tables, at least 1 graph, along with a paragraph describing the data presented in each. So we already know that. We also have so I'm going to pass this out so that you have that available to you. And the paper that I've passed out, you have something like this, but you'll have to do a little bit of work if you want the information available to you, because it doesn't say how many graphs you need to have. So how many graphs is it? How many graphs is it? 2 to 3, yes, 2 to 3 graphs. Okay, so you should have 2 to 3 graphs, charts or tables, and at least, and then let me go back to that, at least, anyone read that? 1 graph. So at least 1 graph. So it's good to take these notes down so that you have this, you can refer to it later. Oops. Oh, come on. this. All right, so you have that information. Other information, yeah. Are there any extra? Oh, here they are. Here are some extras. No. Thank you. All right, so this is, this part right here is from the IMRD outline. So which part, so one of them is results and one of them is discussion. So take a moment and say which one you think is results and which one you think is describing the discussion section. So we did a little bit of work on this last week, but you'll have to label it. So take a moment and say which one you think is which. All right, so is this part, this first box, is that results or discussion? Discussion, yeah. And the second part? Results. All right, so there's already a little bit that we know. And from the sample papers, there were, you could see that there were 2 to 3 data visualizations in the results section. So I'm saying this word data visualization. So what does that mean? Data visualization. Yeah, so you've got these charts, graphs, tables, things like that. So if you want, go ahead, take a moment right now, label these different types of charts, what these different data visualizations are. If you guys are math majors, or even if you're not, these hopefully this is kind of easy, like just sort of some nice review to think about what type of information, different ways you can show your data. Here are the labels up here. So there's going to be a bar graph, a data table, line graph, pie chart, scatter plot. Take a moment. And I'm sorry that some of them didn't print out very well, but hopefully there's enough there that you get the basic idea of what's represented.
Exam on Thursday, so I know.
That's awesome. Great. No, I'm glad. Yeah. Hopefully most of this is just kind of review. I just want to sort of get the terminology out there since I'll be using these words. So first one, what is it?
A pie chart.
Pie chart. Looks like pie, cut into pieces. How about the second one?
It's a bar graph.
Bar graph. Yes. And how about the second one? Or third one? Line graph. And then we've got this next one.
It's a data table.
Data table. All right. And how about this last one?
It's a scatter plot.
Scatter plot. Okay. So you might not remember directly from the sample papers, so I'll just kind of tell you guys that the ones that they use in the sample papers are going to be pie charts. I think they use like a pie chart and then bar graphs. I think the bar graphs are the most common ones. So which ones probably, like if you think about data, like the data that you've collected, which ones are probably ones that you're not going to use? Yeah. Line. Yeah, probably line graph. Thank you. You might find it, but like there might be some data. Why do you think why do you think there wouldn't be a line graph in your
It's not one thing that changes over time.
Yeah, so a lot of times you use it for changes over time. Yeah, changes over time. Also, you know, it's something that's scalar. So like if you wanted to do something like ages or you know, ages versus like how often people compare, like how often people check the news. That could be something, but just make sure that, you know, you're being careful with that and not using that. So remember, you're using it for comparing scalar numeric values. Is there anything else that kind of performs like this? Scatter plot, yeah. So again, you might find ways, but a lot of times, yeah, these are comparing changes over time, which isn't going to be as common. So, which isn't going to be something, because you're not going to say, like, if you're to be like, oh, give, like, at each age, tell me, like, you know, how much you listen to, like, how much news you read. Like, you could, that would be a good question for graphing with a line graph or a scatter plot, but unfortunately, that's not, like, that's probably not what you are asking. All right, so any questions about this so far? I think so far so good. So let's go ahead and we're gonna go back to the notes. So today we are gonna get the guidelines for analyzing data. We're gonna like think about how it connects to your essay that you're writing, and you're gonna like hopefully the majority of class time will be data analysis with groups. So today I'm hoping that you can create data visualizations that meet the assignment criteria, because there are specific criteria. I don't want like a pie chart with gender. Like, even though that might be something that you thought was interesting, that's not something that will count for one of your data visualizations. That is something you can mention throughout your paper, but it's not going to be one of your like those 2 to 3 crucial data visualizations that are counting towards your grade. And then Thursday, we learn how to write about these data visualizations. So here are kind of some of these guidelines, these steps that you might want to take notes about. So first one is you're going to be pairing a demographic question with an attitudinal or behavioral question. So that means you'll look up like, does like news, like preference for news source vary by gender? Does age determine how often someone checks the news? Something like that. So that means you're gonna like look at a demographic question, pair it with one of your attitudinal or behavioral questions, and then tally the numbers. You also want to think about the connection to the hypothesis, research questions, and readings. So that's also important to think about. And then also data visualization, which we kind of went over, those different ways you can represent it. You have to pick an appropriate one. So think about that. Any questions about that? I can come back to a slide, but we've done the data visualization. So here are these important guidelines. And what I want to do to kind of, maybe someone says like, I'm not sure what you mean really by like, you know, taking a demographic question, pair it with an attitudinal or behavioral question, and tally the numbers. So I've got some slides to kind of look through that and hopefully give you a chance to kind of experience it and go through the numbers so that when you're doing it by yourself, it makes sense. So I made up some data where I just have 10 results. I couldn't make more than that, just to kind of like visualize like, okay, you're taking the papers, you're stacking them, and you're going through them, where the only data we have, is gender, major, and preferred news outlet. So here's the raw data. If we sort by gender, should we make a chart and have that be one of our data visualizations? Should we? No, don't do that. You can talk about it in your writing, but don't use that. How about, so you have it sorted by gender now. How about, you know, seeing like how gender and major match up? Would you do that? Is that okay to? No. Yeah. Why?
Because it's not related to the question.
Yeah, so it's not it shouldn't be connected to your hypothesis, and also that's 2 demographic pieces of data, which might be interesting to you, but that's not what the paper's concerned about. So don't do demographic and demographic. So here I've gone ahead and like kind of done some highlighting and shown how the data spreads out. Again, we're separated by gender. So how about gender and preferred news source? Is that okay to tally up or measure? Yeah, that's fine. You can do that. I've done a table where it shows like, how it varies. And that's fine. You can do that. Nothing jumps out that much, but so let's, kind of try and keep analyzing it. Here we're back at the raw data. Should we sort by major? Why not? Yeah, they're all different. So what does that tell? Like, that doesn't really tell you much. But I'm going to propose another thing. So what if we sort by news source, which, you can be one approach. We say sort first by demographic, but here's another way to kind of analyze. So here I've made a table where we have the different news sources. So are there any trends that kind of emerge from who reads what?
Yes.
Okay, what are those trends?
Like science majors read NPR.
Yeah. Anything else?
Arts related read Vice.
Yeah. So again, this is completely fake data. Like I just randomly chose these things so that you can kind of visualize that. So this is an example where like maybe you want to make categories that aren't present in how you ask the question, but emerge as you go through the data. So that's one thing that you can think about.
Maybe like STEM and non-STEM.
You could, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, STEM and non-STEM. I think that like when I made categories later, I put like English, communications, and history as like a humanities, like sort of. But yeah, you could definitely do STEM and non-STEM, kind of show that like there's variety, but like STEM just looks at one source or something like that. So again, this is completely fake data. This is way too small of a sample size, but I just wanted to show that example. So you can kind of see like, okay, this is how sometimes it pans out. Any other questions or observations? All right, so I'm going to show you some bad visualizations, which are also included on your handout. Unfortunately, I'm very sorry about this, but like a lot of them, the printing didn't come out well. So I'm really sorry about that, but I'll show, there's a few different, I want you to take a few moments and think about, I'm going to show them right here so that you can kind of see it more clearly and get a sense for what they might look like. But the first one, we've got results, and we've got 4 different results. And then we've got here gender, which is divided 50-50. We've got area of study and gender, and then we've got news source by gender. So why would this first one, why would this visualization lose points? And everyone has this on their paper, so if they kind of want to look over and make notes about like things, what not to do, you can do that so that way you avoid this. So why would this visualization lose points? Huh? Yeah, exactly. It's not labeled enough. You can't tell what's going on in the chart. So that's important. It has insufficient labeling. I can't tell what's going on. It's very pretty, it's nice, but I can't tell what's happening. It has insufficient labeling. The next visualization, why would this data visualization lose points? So it's gender, male, and female. Specifically in your, I know it came out as just one big circle, but why would this, yeah, sorry.
It's irrelevant?
Yeah, it's irrelevant. It's just displays a single demographic data, which is not what we're interested in. That doesn't have a connection to the hypothesis. You can talk about this idea in your paper, but you should avoid you should avoid this as one of your 2 to 3 precious data visualizations. How about this one? Why would this data visualization lose points? It's area of study and gender. So I've broken up into female humanities, female science, female arts. So why would this lose points? Yeah, it's two demographics. Even though you're taking two questions and kind of looking at them together, it's not it's not relevant to your hypothesis, and you're comparing two demographics. So remember, it's a demographic and attitudinal or behavioral question. Here we do have attitudinal and behavioral, demographic and behavioral. So why would this data visualization lose points? Yeah, Diary.
Because there's no numbers.
You can see the numbers here. Like I can see that 2 women read Vice, no women read Fox. As far as BBC, 1 of them reads it, and 2 of them read NPR.
Just unclear. And what's 1.5?
1.5? Yeah, no, I mean that's just it's how it's labeled. That's kind of weird too, huh? Yeah, Julia, are you raising your hand? Oh, okay, no, just anyone?
Just bad.
Yeah, so this is when you want to show trends over time, a line graph is a good thing. This isn't showing trends over time. And you should be using a different kind of visualization. This line graph doesn't work. So it's an inappropriate method for displaying the data because a line graph compares 2 scalar number-based data categories. Type of news, that's not a number. Gender is also not a number. That's why this is an inappropriate data visualization. It would lose points. Here is an example of appropriate data visualization where you have the news categories by gender. This isn't a very interesting graph because there's very little data, but it still shows it appropriately using the bar graph. It's kind of weird that it has the half points, but I wouldn't mark down points for that. It compares a demographic and behavioral data. And here is also one where it compares a demographic, area of study, and behavioral news source. And it's an appropriate way of visualizing the data. So far, any questions? All right, so what you're going to do right now is everyone take that paper and scroll down to this part. And some of these steps are steps you should do. You should check those. And some of these are steps you should not do. So X those. So take a couple minutes. Think about which one is a good step and which of that one is not a good step. And we'll come back together in a couple minutes and discuss.